What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Jersey Joe Show, a place where we talk about a little bit of everything, but mostly hockey. And tonight we're going to be talking about the St. Louis Blues game that happened last night and why I'm oddly optimistic about it. So, just looking at the fan reactions, going on Reddit, on Twitter, Facebook, and just really checking out the social media from last night, the general consensus of the game last night was that the Devils were horseshit. And I feel like I've been watching a different game because I feel like the team that played against St. Louis last night was a fantastically better team compared to the team that played against Calgary. Yeah, the score's a bit different. We brought Calgary to overtime and eventually lost in the shootout, but in terms of the actual team that played, especially the defense, I can't sit here and say with a straight face that the team in Calgary was better. We weren't phenomenal last night. We probably could have played better, but the doom and gloom that I'm seeing from the fan base isn't making much sense, and that's weird because the general consensus has been that I'm a little bit more negative than most. I tend to be overly critical and really look at the bad side of things before I look at the good side of things, but last night it's like things are a bit reversed. I think we had a pretty solid game. Our defense kept the best team in the NHL. At the time of recording, they are the best team right now. They have the best record. And we kept them to 2 goals through 3 periods. I don't count the empty netter because it doesn't really factor into how our defense or goalie played or anything like that. So we kept them to 2 goals. And the night before, we kept an average offense in Calgary. They have a great top line, but their bottom 6 is nothing to write home about. And they scored 4 or 5 goals on us. So even just within 2 or 3 days, you saw a lot of changes on the defense. You didn't see as many odd man rushes. You didn't see the defense pinching on the boards as much as you did against Calgary. Ultimately, what killed us last night was that we played the best defensive team in the NHL, and the Blues. They are number 1 in the league. It's not a subjective thing. This is a fact. They are the best defensive team in the entire NHL. Their average goals against since Mike Yeo was hired is, I think, a 2.09 goals against average, which is absolutely absurd. That's like the dead puck era type of a defense, and they have it now, even when goal scoring is at an all-time high in the past 7 years. So to play against that team, we only scored 1 goal. We had a lot of near misses. We had a lot of open nets that we missed on, a lot of chances. It wasn't that great, and for 2 periods, we had a really good system going. Once they got that power play goal, though, and we were down 2-1, we kind of just fell apart, and we got gassed. And when you're gassed like that, you have a bunch of rookies against one of the best structured teams in NHL, your system's going to fall apart. You're going to start seeing cracks in it. You're not going to be able to score. Obviously, St. Louis can turtle a bit more than we can, and you saw the result. It was a 2-1 game until the last couple of minutes. So, again, we played a full 60 minutes against one of the best teams in the NHL. I can't be too upset about it. There are things I'd like to see differently. There are some absolute worries about this team, mainly in just the conditioning of them and really how rookies are going to bounce back with a bad goal against, or how Schneider's going to bounce back from a goal against. He did it last night, but I feel like in Edmonton, he kind of let some of those goals go to his head, but Schneider's a veteran, so I'm not too worried about him. But the rookies do seem they get really frantic in high-pressure situations, which is completely understandable. This is their first year in the NHL. They're just learning how to play against these type of players. They're just learning how to work in these systems. And they're not used to having so many eyes on them. These high-pressure situations are brand new to them. Plus, they're not used to being, 4th or 5th best player on their team. They're used to being either the best player on their team or the best player in their division, let alone the conference. So these are all different roles that our rookies are playing. And then when you get into these situations where you just need to pull it together and kind of just push them out and push a goal out and keep pushing against adversity, you start to see where experience comes to play. And that's why veteran presences are so important. And last night, it didn't go through for us. It didn't come together the right way. We had a couple of wide open nets. Taylor Hall had a wide open net and he shanked the shot. Yeah, the puck was rolling, but still, if he pots that, it's a 2-0 game, I think, at that point, because we were up by 1. 2-0. St. Louis then has to score twice just to tie it. It's a whole different game, and we feel completely different about it. I think as a fan base, and every fan base does this, it's not partial to the Devils whatsoever. If you play a great game and you lose, you feel like the world is ending. Whereas if you play like absolute shit and somehow pull out a win, which we have done this year, Ottawa speaking specifically, you feel a little bit differently. You say, you know what, we have a couple of mistakes, a couple of holes to fill in, but once we do that, we'll be good to go. And it's weird how that dynamic shifts just because of the outcome of the game. So last night, we played a great game. We really did. I disagree with people who say it was an awful game and our offense wasn't clicking and we looked slow. Our system was much more in place. Our defense had a much more coherent system than they did against Calgary and Edmonton. And it really looked like a good game. Our offense just couldn't beat Allen. And that's going to happen some nights. And you can't get too down on the team. You can't start saying that this is just like the team last year and we're only going to win 10 more games before the end of the season, because that's not helpful. And it's really not indicative of what's to come at all. We're playing against Edmonton, then we're playing against Florida this week. Those are two games that we can win. We absolutely can. I know Edmonton had our asses on Friday, but that was a winnable game up until, midway through the second? We were tied 2-2. You can do the same thing now at home with a more rested team and with a bit more understanding of Connor McDavid for our defense, and maybe you pull out a 3-2 win or a 4-1 win. You don't know, and I don't want to start predicting that we're going to be terrible this season because of a couple of losses. So either way, I just want to get this out. The Blues game was, as I said, it was a great game that we played, but we just got beat by a better team, and that's going to happen. We're a developing team. We're not a contender. We're nowhere near a contender. We're barely a playoff team this year, and we're going to have highs and lows, especially with a team that's almost half full of rookies. So I'm not worried. I think our defense played great. Our offense got shut down by a great defense. It's going to happen. So let's just look forward to the next couple of games, and I'm pretty optimistic about this coming week. So thinking we're going to get at least 2 or 3 wins by this time next week, and then we'll be right back where we were on top. So that's all for today, guys. I'll talk to you soon, and have a good one.